We haven't put together any nifty theme music yet. I want it to be like a game show, and Joe doesn't. All right, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on? You know me.
Hey there.
You know Joe, that man over there in the corner. That's the man.
That's right.
Mark Slaughter's joining us tonight.
Mark Slaughter, whose band has sold more than 5 million records worldwide. Thank you very much for joining us. How are you today?
My pleasure. Good to be here.
So, tell us a little bit about your new album.
Well, it's called Halfway There, and it's on the EMP label. And it took me about 8 months to put it together, and I made it as a vinyl. I actually didn't just throw it together for a CD. I wanted it to be a vinyl, so that was the key point with it. So that was just it was a labor of love, and put it out on Ellison's label, and it's been great.
How many of the vinyl did you guys end up pressing? Is it a limited release or a numbered release, anything like that?
There's all kinds of limited editions of what it is. I know there's picture discs. I know there's white vinyl and gray vinyl, and I can't keep up with it all. But I got my few copies here, and I'm just glad to be a part of it all.
That's absolutely awesome. Sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
Sorry, I'm just a little So. One thing I wanted to talk about, Ryan, if you could pull a picture up for me, please.
Yeah.
Him on stage with the gentleman with the tattoo on his back.
All right, I believe we got that right here.
And Mark, can you talk about this a little? I thought it was the coolest thing in the world when I saw you get this guy up on stage.
Yeah. Mr. Kelly from Florida. Yes, absolutely. He's a veteran, and he's talking to me about all the things he's been through and this and that and the other, and I said, oh wow, okay. And then we met another time, and it's like, I really appreciate your music, and I'm like, thanks a lot, I really appreciate it. And then he saw the artwork, and he goes, man, that is exactly how I feel, and I'm gonna get it done. Don't tell anybody. I'm gonna do a whole back piece. So when we played up in New Jersey, he came to the show, and I was just blown away. I was just like, wow. First of all, it's a piece, but they did a great job with it. Whoever the artist was did a fantastic job.
Absolutely. Who was the artist on the album cover?
Sam Sharon. He's a artist who's done like everybody from I guess Iron Maiden to Rob Zombie. He's just a really incredible artist, and I threw the idea over his way, and he just ran with it, and just turned out amazing. It really did. Very iconic.
And so I'm trying to understand. You share a band with Vince Neil? Your bandmates?
Well, my band is Dana and Blando and Zoltan, and they play.
I didn't misconstrue that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and they play with Vince half the time. So when they're playing with Vince, then basically I go off and do my other thing with other players. So kind of how it's been.
That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it keeps everybody working, and we're all glad to be out there and doing it, and that's kind of how I look at it.
How many total years are you looking at this point of rocking out, man? How many has it been?
How many years have I been doing it? Well, I started with Vinnie Vincent in 1986. So. Here I am at 31 years still doing it, so it's been quite a ride. I'm still out there, I still love doing it. I'm in my studio right now, and tonight I'll probably start writing or doing something else for another project. It's just how I am. I love to make music.
How many projects you got going on right now? Well, not even right now. At any given time, how many projects are you juggling?
I do my own projects, and then I have people come in and out of the studio. There's a band out here. There's a country band that I'm going to be working with out here. I'm going to record the vocals and then mix their stuff. I'm mixing the Madam X, some of the Madam X record. I did some songs with VIP After Show. That's with Roxy and Maxine, and that turned out great. We did the dedication to Lemmy called Kill Mister. That turned out great.
Nice.
So it's just never a dull moment. There's always something going on here. So always working on something.
Is your focus right now based solely in music, or are you dabbling in other areas as well?
That's pretty much all I do. I really focus on music all the time. I mean, I wake up, here in my studio, I've got guitars surrounding me, and I just pick one up and plug it in and start going for it.
That's amazing.
So I noticed that you're touring with Slaughter this month?
Yeah.
Or in September?
I'm not. I do fly dates with Slaughter. Let me clarify that. With Slaughter, we do shows. We never go on a tour bus. We haven't been on a tour bus in about, since like in 2001. So we just, we really actually, 2011. So for us, it's just better just to fly in, do the show, fly home. So our next show we have is in Hinckley, Minnesota. And that's on the 8th. And then we have another couple dates this month, and then next month there's like 2 or 3 shows. We just fly into the show and fly home.
Do you miss the days of the being on the tour bus and all that stuff? Is it one of those you miss it but no urge to recreate it type things?
No, I mean there's a good side and a bad side. The bad side is when you're on a tour bus, you're gone for a month, and when you do the fly date thing like I do, you go out for weekends and you're back home, and then you can kind of be home and kind of relax and do the things that you do at home, and then get back out on the airplane, fly in the night before the show, do the show, and then that's it.
It's very similar to what corporate America calls the work-life balance type thing. You get a nice dose of real life, and then you go off to work.
Yeah, and it is a balance, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoy, I'm a person that enjoys home and enjoys, just chilling. So to me, it's really nice to come home. Although, look, I love to tour. I love to do what I do. And if there was a tour on a tour bus that made financial sense, that's the key. Most people don't realize a tour bus plus the fuel, plus the driver, plus your hotels, plus all that, you wind up having to play extra shows in not so good places just to pay for the fuel and just to pay for that extra expense. When you do what you're doing, which is a fly date, you fly in, your expenses are already done. You know what you're going to walk with. It's done. It's finished.
That's nice. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. I know a lot of guys and a lot of women that have spent a lot of time making their rounds on the tour buses.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that there is a really cool aspect to being on a tour bus, and if you're rolling with a bunch of bands and it's a successful tour, then it's great. But it's a very different time now. What used to be, where you would go off and play shows and radio would support it. There was rock radio. People knew you were coming to town. Now you go into a town people barely know unless it's a casino or those type of places that advertise in those places that people are actually watching and paying attention. So, rock radio as we know it really has turned into internet radio. It's turned into, what we're doing here, a podcast.
Absolutely.
Terrestrial radio as we know it, they don't even play, they only play like X amount of Pink Floyd songs or, maybe Aerosmith from the Permanent Vacation. It's like play something new. Nobody does.
I'm actually in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was thinking that as I was driving around, 100.7 WMMS here in Cleveland was a flagship station for rock and roll. It was the tent pole. And now it's gone to the mornings. I mean, the shows are good. I'm a big fan of the talk shows they have on there. But it's talk shows. It's basically a themed, almost lunchtime DJ playing a little bit of pre-selected rock that is the same stuff over and over. And then it's sandwiched in with talk shows. And then you go to your late night stuff. So it has changed exponentially at this point.
Well, what's going on is there's programmers, and the programmer, for instance, for Cleveland, the guy who's programming your Cleveland station is probably in Florida. He's programming another 8 stations. So what's going on is he's telling your station, MMS, which is a flagship, incredible station, what to play. Mm-hmm. They have to follow it. And, the DJs don't get a chance to have their personalities to talk and to be themselves. And, that part of radio is also, they're like, hurry up, don't say the name of the band, just get into it, let's sell Chevys today. So they're just out to sell Chevrolet. It's nothing about the music. The music business is a very hard business because it is business, and the business is to sell. So whether you're selling, people into a casino or selling them to buy a Chevy, whatever it is, it's a means to get there.
And yeah, I mean, like you said, it has changed just exponentially, the business over the years. I've seen it. I've been around it. I've been involved in it. And the dynamics of it just keep changing year by year as technology changes. Things like Spotify and these deliverable services, things like that, are changing the format. They're changing the landscape.
Spotify changed everything. I mean, Spotify, a lot of people have gone to that, and they pay a really, really incredibly low reduced rate for artists. Mm-hmm. So, they're not giving it away, but they might as well be. So there's multi-million plays of Fly the Angels a year alone through Spotify and Pandora. And I think it winds up like $67 a month. Wow.
I knew there were. I was always kind of curious as to what that breakdown was over there. That gives me a pretty damn good idea.
I'm not going to be the whining artist because at the same time people get a chance to hear my music, and you make your art because it's art and you want people to enjoy your art.
Right.
But it's also one of those things that where there's royalty rates and people, the structure of how this industry goes, it's changed a lot, and people can't afford to record. They can't afford to do that. Luckily, I'm a one-man pony here. I freaking, I write, I record, I'm a producer, I'm an engineer, I'm a guitar player, I'm a bass player. I do everything. So, I come from a different school than a lot of artists who worked with writers or worked with producers and went to that side of it. To them, now they're lost going, I don't know how to do this, because that wasn't part of their, what they did.
One thing I noticed is when I was looking at your tour dates, I saw a lot of Slaughter tour dates and only one solo tour date. Are you planning on doing more?
I have the solo. Yeah, I'm planning on doing more. I have the one in Peru right now. That's the one that's on the books. Right. There's one in Denver that I'll get with those guys this week, and there's another one in Utah. So there's a few that will be scattered in, but it's also trying to get everybody else together to be able to have an open weekend, because I have certain players I want to play with that I really. It's not like I'm just going to go out there and just take any Tom, Dick, or Harry to go out there to go play. I want really good quality musicians. And the guys that I'm working with right now, with Jamie, Millard, who plays bass on part of the record, and Mike Himmel and Bobby Rock, who from the Vinnie Vincent Invasion. These are great players. So I just want to go out and play great shows and have quality, representation, so to speak.
Absolutely. So, looking things over. Ryan, what do you have? You got something on the tip of your tongue?
When you're going out, approximately how many tour dates per year? And we were talking about the. Sorry, I'm beating the hell out of my microphone. Apparently, it ticked me off earlier. How many tour dates per year do you do at this point versus how many you used to do back in the day? And granted, I know that the landscape has changed. I'm just kind of wondering how that's all changed.
Well, if it's pertaining to like when we were out on tour with Kiss, we were playing 5 nights a week.
Wow.
So and we did that for a year and a half along with the tour with Poison. So that's a lot. So if you add that up to now our fly dates, which is about 40 shows a year. So, but it's all fly in, fly home, fly in, fly home. And then there's miscellaneous, acoustic shows or other things like that, or appearances. So all those things add up to a pretty decent year. And the problem, again, if you look at just pure money of what it costs to go on a rolling tour, unless you have a successful rolling tour or some routing that makes sense, in other words, to get from Cleveland to Columbus, for instance, there might be a bad routing. They go, we're going to play Cleveland, and they're going to play Fort Lauderdale, Florida the next day.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's a thing that people don't think about. So the amount of gas it takes to get down to Fort Lauderdale eats up your whole budget. So there's got to be things that make sense when you're on a rolling tour and the way it's routed. It's a totally different dynamic than just, flying in to do a show.
Well, we've talked about Spotify and the financial end of that. We talked about the touring and the non-fly-in stuff, the stuff where you're actually, going city to city to city like that on the bus. What is, and then obviously the way music sales are run nowadays, what is an artist's best revenue stream nowadays? Is it the tour dates? Is it selling singles?
It's live shows.
Yeah.
It's definitely live shows because, the model is upside down from what it used to be. For instance, when you made a record, or let's call it a CD, you make a CD, you go out and tour the CD. Well, now you go tour to sell the CD. So the model is completely backwards because really, I don't know if you've been into Best Buy, but there's only one rack of CDs that they're selling.
I actually witnessed that, yes.
CDs aren't being, CD players aren't even in new cars. Mm-hmm. And CDs are not even in, CD-ROMs are not in computers anymore. So basically, the electronic industry has phased out the sale of CDs. So now we have CDs that you can buy online. We have records, which is physical. Or we have, your degraded MP3 that's on the iTunes and Amazon and, everywhere else. So, that is not the perfect choice, but that's the way it's flowing. So as an artist, what you do is you just try to figure out how are we going to make this work. It's just like if you were, a landscaper, you go, well, look, I'm working, all these summer months, but in the winter months, I don't do any lawns. Well, you got to pick something else to do.
Right.
Or another aspect of the business. Landscape design. Then you turn into, for me, I'm still making music in my off time. So I still continue, but it's just a different scenario than playing live.
Well, has current technology caused you to create your music in a different manner? What I mean by that is, it used to be you would put out an album and the album would be a story. From track 1 to track 11, 12, whatever it may be, whether it's vinyl or whether it's CD. Now you get a nice tune, you get a solid chord in your head, you get some great fills, things like that. You know it's going to be a great song, but you have nothing to put around it. You can just release it, just put it out there. And it can still do very well. Has that mentality changed how you write what you do?
Well, I don't put out demos.
Right.
I put out records. So there are artists who go out there, and as much as they know, they put out a demo. I mean, Dana and I, from the very beginning of Slaughter, were the only two guys that wrote, produced, and still perform our music live. So, meaning from our genre. In other words, we were involved from all the way through. So there's a different aspect to what we do than what some other artists do. They're discovering new technologies and stuff, but you still have to know what some of those, what a LA2A would do, or 1176, or you get these plugins that simulate that, but if you don't know what they do in real life, then they're just it's just another thing to plug in. So to me, I think it's been great because I have a complete automated system here, so I can make mixes and do everything within the computer, but I play it in real time, put it together, and then I can clean it up and make it sound as good as I can, as if it was going on tape. There's even tape simulation things that they have to warm up the sound. Analog, everybody's like, well, it's not the same. It's not the same as vinyl. Vinyl is different than MP3. So just understand that's really the difference, because there's a thing that they call brick wall mastering. The brick wall mastering is if there's a wave that goes like that, they cut off the top of the wave to make it incredibly loud, but when you cut a wave in half, it's actually called distortion. A square wave is technically distortion. Okay. So you don't, that's all the MP3s we listen to, a lot of that stuff always has distortion. Some bands have so much brick wall mastering that after you listen to them, you start to get fatigue in your ears, just the way it is. But that's one of the compensations you have to figure out, how to get it loud enough without ruining it.
Nice. I was one of those people, the first time I ever got my hands on the virtual software for adding effects and distortions, things of that nature, was Reason. And I was so amazed that you could flip this over virtually and patch it how you need it.
Right.
I was like, I'm virtually patching a console here. This is amazing.
Right. Yeah, totally different world. It's I use the Cubase software and Nuendo software, which is tiny. But it's what I know. I've known it for, I think it was 1.43 was the first version of the software I had. So I've been in this a while.
Right.
So I know it well.
You're like, I've been around the block a few times here,
Yeah.
Do you, are you working on some new stuff to come up after? Wow.
Yeah, there's
English eludes me today.
Yeah, I've got some other songs I'm working on, and I've got it's just never ending for me. At this point, I'm in the upgrade the computer mindset, so I have more upgrading and technical stupidity and licensing. It's no different than if your Microsoft Word goes out. It's the same bullshit that I deal with as an artist to try to figure out, well, why doesn't this plugin work? I downloaded it, you have to go and get it licensed and approved and all the other stuff. So I have to build a whole complete new rig with the newer technology. So I've got a couple weeks.
I gotta ask, what kind of specs are you looking at? Can you tell me that?
As far as the computer goes?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna do 64 RAM, 2 terabyte hard drive in the front side. I'll have racks of stuff that I'll have for storage. And the processor, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to go with the processor on at this point. We're kind of combing to see what we can do. But that's the key of knowing that I'll be at least good for a couple of years to be able to do what I need to do. And this Cubase 9, I just ordered that Cubase 9. So that'll be coming in the mail this week, actually. So
very nice. I love Toy Week. I love Toy Week.
Well, I have, my computer, I built the computer I had from scratch, and it was a great experience. But it lasted me 6 years, so we did something right here. But the key is with this, having stuff that you know, it's kind of like an old Chevy. You know, you can get your head in there and you know what it is. It's not like they have some computer you got to hook it up to and it tells you need to replace a computer, you know.
I'll tell you what, I know where you're coming from. For the first, for a few episodes of this show, we were dealing with all kinds of stuff, trying to nail it all down. We're like, we got to go live, we got to get this show on the air, we need to get this hardware in place. Trust me, I know where you're coming from in terms of all of that. Joe got to sit back and watch.
Here's the truth, and here's the truth now. Now that it's working, do you really want to upgrade? So, you know, that's one of the things that you as an artist, or you know, even for you guys, is so I have to stop because this is working fine for what I need right now. But there comes a point and you go, but this does this. So if we install this and this, you know you're going to run into a couple days of going, you know, oh shit, how did I get here? But you know, it is part of the world we're in to make sure everything's reading and talking and aligning. You know,
the worst part of the whole ordeal usually is you find that one plugin that only works on your previous setup, so you have to figure out a way to link up the two and daisy chain and rig somehow just so you can get one more use out of that plugin because it won't work on your new rig.
That's right. That's right. And that's why I'm building a whole new computer. So the old one, if I have that exactly what you're talking about, I can go, you know, damn it. So I can at least put the wave, put it in, process it the way I know it, bring it back over. But it is, it's a pain in the ass for sure.
My day job's IT. I totally get it. That's what I do when I'm not doing this, you know.
And for those people out there with Macs and also people with PC, what do you really find between the two? I mean,
yeah, like everyone's one way or the other, and why are they that way?
Well, the Apple, I call it trapple because you get trapped in it, which is great. But once you're in it, then if what people don't realize is if you take all your CDs and you put them in iTunes, it puts it in iTunes, and if you don't have iTunes on whatever you have, then they won't work.
Yep.
So you get trapped.
Let me put it to you this way. In my whole system, here's my Mac, and it's not even hooked up. It's sitting back there behind me, not even hooked up. Unfortunately, they trapped me enough to buy one because one piece of software that I use is Mac only.
Yep. Well, look, all these things, you know, Mac was made for education and for creative purposes, but the PC was built for the world as we know it. But most people don't realize that when Jobs was having his issues, and I don't know, I didn't see the Jobs movement, when he was actually having his issues with, you know, Mac, his R&D, you know, research and development was Bill Gates. Bill Gates bought into half of Apple. So, you know, it's like, it's all the same thing, man. It's just like a Ryder truck or a U-Haul truck. Just how you get there. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, they had Bill Gates on this huge screen behind Steve Jobs, almost like the devil himself hanging out above there when they did the presentation.
Yep. And, you know, the truth of the matter is you know, look, we've got operating systems and we've got things that are doing, I mean, it's incredible some of the things that we do in technology. You know, I try not to rely on it. I try to stay, you know, I'm not that crazy about social media. You know, I think it's a good way to get the word out, but it also becomes a very narcissistic society, and it's very hard for me to go up there and go, hey, man, this is me with, you know, doing what I do. It becomes, you know, your life on a soapbox. And I really, you know, my music's on a soapbox, not my life.
Right.
And it's a weird dynamic for, you know, private people that, you know, I don't really care what somebody had for lunch, you know. It's the point, you know. Sometimes, yeah, you look at it and go, yeah, it looks really good, but yeah, I can't enjoy it. You know, there's no scratch and sniff on this, you know.
Ooh, let's patent that. Let's figure that one out. Cinema 4D or 40. Anyways, wow, it's been a long day today. Let me tell you.
Now, wait a minute, Ryan. You got to realize I'm totally geeking out right now because one of my idols, the album came out, Slaughter's first album came out when I was a freshman. And I am talking to this gentleman right now, and he is talking computers with computer geeks also. So this is just beyond me right now.
Well, you know what? That's the one thing. It was funny because, you know, there's a guy, there's a gentleman who was Michael Jackson's manager. He lived out here in Nashville before he passed, and he told me, he goes, "You're too accessible. You're too normal. You know, you're not." You know, but I'm just a regular guy, and Slaughter really was the band next door that did good, and you know, I like having that image because it's an image, non-image. It's just go out there and freaking rock. You know, AC/DC was that way. Just go out there and freaking, you know, you're going to deliver it, man. You're just going to deliver it. And that's really, I think, where, you know, my mindset is with music. You make good music and you get it out to the people. There's not like a big, you know, I did the glam thing when I was a young, very, very young man. That was a million years ago. It was fun. But, you know, let's just call it for what it is. It was about to get real when we started Slaughter.
Awesome. Hey, Ryan, do me a favor. I mean, again, can you pull up one of the pictures that I sent you? And I hope it's okay with Mark, actually. It was something that touched me on YouTube. It's pertaining to the purple guitar, Mark. Can we talk about that?
Sure, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Purple guitar.
Great tribute, and I watched the video a few times, and if you could, please.
Well, you know, Tim and I actually, when we started Slaughter, we were talking about the guitars we were going to have, and I said, you know, I think I'm going to wear a purple guitar. That's going to be my thing. He goes, no, purple's my color. You can't do that. And then Dana and I were discussing, well, how are we going to do it? We'll get a bus, we'll do this. And Tim walks in the other room, and comes back, and he goes, I got a purple guitar. It was kind of like the first, you know, Tim had this, like, a very childish, very, you know, humorous way of doing things. And I was this way, saying, look, I have purple. Either we're going to look like, you know, the Temptations, or you're going to get another color guitar. So, you know, and so I ended up, you know, going with more of a red color throughout, you know, as far as the guitar colors. And then, you know, fast forward, Tim passes away from a tragic accident in '98. All his guitars were gone. You know, people sold off his guitars. We never saw him. And then fast forward, I get a message on email from a gentleman named Rodney Hardison out of Oregon, and he says, I have Tim's guitar. And I said, well, bring it to the show. So he brought it to the show. He opened up the case, and, you know, of course, I'm thinking back of, you know, first of all, the very beginnings of the guitar, the tours that we were on with that guitar, what we've seen with it. And he said, you know, I could tell this guitar needs to come home. And that's what he said to me. And I was like, wow, dude, killing me. I'm tearing up here. So he gave me the guitar, which was just an amazing, you know, very generous man. He brought it home. Then I brought it home, and then I called up Adam Reaver, who has a company called FU Tone. And it's a tremolo upgrade system. And, you know, Tim and I, just as we're talking about computers, I could talk music gear all day long. I'm such a freaking music geek and that, you know, gearhead. So I knew that it was the newest thing with FU Tone, and I called up Adam, and we had a show in Jersey. And he said, yeah, bring the guitar with you. We'll hook it up. So I brought the guitar with me. He picks me up in the car. We're over, and we drive over into, you know, to Yardley. And I didn't think about it. And then I said, where are we at? Because, you know, he's driving. And he goes, we're, you know, right outside Yardley, New Hope. And I'm like, oh my God. I said, Tim is buried right near here. And he goes, you're kidding me. I said, no. So we finished the guitar. We upgraded the guitar. And that video's on YouTube. But then we got in touch with the cemetery, went over to his grave, and there it is. And we went over and took the guitar to him, like, we upgraded it, bro. We're gonna rock it. And I used the guitar on the Halfway There record several times, and it's just like having a piece of your old friend there with you, kind of smiling at you. In fact, I don't know if you can see it. It's right there behind you. Can you see it or no?
Oh, actually, you're frozen on the screen right now, so.
I don't know why that is. There's technology for you. Let's
yeah, right. Let's discuss that.
Let's send that up to the old Skype thing, huh?
Yeah, exactly. No, but I thoroughly enjoy that story. It touched me on YouTube. But I was wondering if you could go into a little. I was doing some research, and you were involved with some animated shows at one point. Can you go into that or no?
I did some work with Animaniacs and Batman Beyond and a couple animated things. I did a little bit on Rocket Power, but the thing is about doing voiceover stuff, you kind of have to be in Hollywood, and I'm really not a Hollywood guy.
Yeah.
I'm down home, regular rock and roller, just wants to make a rock record,
That is probably the best thing I've ever heard, and you know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't think we can get any deeper on that. I mean, I think we're about at the point where we're gonna wrap things up. Did you have any final questions out there, Joe? I mean, first of all, it's been absolutely a pleasure
to see. One of our internets is freezing up.
Well, that's.
Yeah, I don't know. Mine or yours?
Well, I'll tell you what. This is the point where we're going to wrap it up, anyways. Mark, can I just tell you, thank you so much for coming on and joining us. This conversation has gone well beyond my expectations, man, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Look, man, it's we're all lucky. Here's the key with music. Music has been the soundtrack to all of our lives, as it was for you in your freshman year, as it is to me as I create it and still go out and perform it. Ultimately, I'm so glad that I've been able to do this dance and continue, doing what I love. It's been I've seen the world with my music, and I've seen half of it go away for free, but at the same time, it's given me a chance to see parts of the world that normal people wouldn't be able to get a chance to see. So I'm certainly blessed in that, and I'm very thankful for it. And appreciate you guys having me on. And if you wanted to talk computers all day long, man, I'll talk it next time as well, man. I'm such a geek. So.
Oh, absolutely. Before you leave, where can we find the new album?
You can buy it on Amazon as well as iTunes. As far as the physical copy, you can buy it at EMP Label Group. They have the vinyl and as well as the CDs. But that's probably those are the three places that I would suggest.
We'll see if we can throw a link.
And also, your website is
markslaughter.com.
And we'll see.
It's markslaughter.com, and it's also.
Okay.
Ryan, I think your internet is losing, buddy.
Wow, really? All right, well, let's go ahead. Are you guys able to hear me at this point? Are we doing good?
Yep,
yeah.
Real fast. I have to thank Hairband Heaven for letting us promote this on their show. Also, 80s Hairband World and our buddies Grady and Edge.
Very cool, very cool. Well, thank you so much, you guys, and we'll see you in Cleveland.
Absolutely. Hey,
it was a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Also, one last quick thing for you, Mark. Don't forget Joe. He was too embarrassed to tell you. You get to hear great stories, like stories about Joe getting laid to your music. So, all right, guys.
Oh, there you go. Well, there's
February 17th, Marathon, Florida. I'll be there.
There's been many a backseats, many a children birthed by this music. It's all good, man. It's all good.